we're going to finish up our project by putting some sound in it and adding some titles, and then exporting it and sticking it up on YouTube. So let's go ahead and spend some time thinking about sound. And so sound in our Premiere Pro project is eventually going to wind up, well, first in the project browser when we import it, and then it's going to wind up in the audio tracks of our timeline. So down here we have, in the timeline, we have I think 3 audio tracks right now. And it looks like some of our video came through with some sound. So we'll be talking about that briefly as well. Before we go any further, I think we should jump over to a different website to go ahead and think about downloading some sound. So the website, my favorite website for downloading sound files would be Freesound. And so I'm just going to open it in here. And it's called freesound.org, and you can register for an account. It's an academic organization. It's a nonprofit, so they're not going to, mess with your data or sell your information or anything like that. I think what we want to do is basically just search for some sounds. And as we do so, I'm going to give you some guidelines for what is kind of a good sound and what's a bad sound in terms of the actual file. So if we just, my internet is super slow right now. Come on. Okay, so there's sort of our homepage. I'm going to go ahead and just search for a sound. So if you remember correctly, I have this kind of crazy video with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, and yeah. So I was thinking, and then we also, of course, have the, Septa Baylor, this kind of thing going. So I was thinking for sounds that would complement this, that maybe we would try something kind of like innocent or maybe a little bit creepy. So I was looking for music box songs or sounds. And now I just want to be clear that when you're looking for sound, it's really like something that is captured by the environment or something that's synthesized to sound like something. I mean, there's no clear difference between what is sound and what is music. Ask any kind of new musician. But when we're looking for sound for this project, we're really putting an emphasis on sound that is not strictly music. Although several people have asked about, can I have music in my project? And the answer is, I would say yes. You can have bits of music or passages of music, but we don't want the whole thing to be kind of soundtracked music video. That's like the opposite of what we're looking for. We're looking for something that has layers of found sound. So if we go ahead and look through here, we get quite a list. We get 322 potential files, and you can, there's sort of a preview within this list view, so you can play a little one. I think that's kind of awesome. I love the little wind up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and see if I can find the kind of larger page for this. So on the sort of actual page for the sound, you will find that you get a much more detailed waveform, obviously. You also get to kind of find out a little bit of information about the sound. And this is actually kind of rare. It's not often that you see a mono sound. And so that the sound being mono, it's not really a problem. It's just a certain, it has a certain quality. So a really simple explanation of what mono means is that both channels, the left and the right, those are the standard 2 audio channels that we're going to be using, that both of those channels are equal to each other. So in other words, you could say that there's really only one channel. With stereo sound, as I'm sure you well know from listening to your headphones, one channel can be doing something different from the other channel. So if you're ever watching a scary movie with your headphones and you think about like something sounds like it's moving in the back of the room, that's people playing around with the ratio of the sound between the 2 channels, and it can be really effective. So for something to have to be only mono, it's not bad or good. It just means that it's only gonna it's not gonna have any kind of stereo depth. So this is a very small file. It's an MP3, which is probably not it's not actually the ideal format for sound. It's compressed, which means that it's going to be slightly lower quality. This sound also has, it looks like, reasonable file size. I'm going to go ahead and download it. It may not be the best sound file we download today. And I'm going to go ahead and check out another one that might be, this one looks like it was recorded with a decent recording device. So it's probably going to have, oh, this one has the wind up too. And it's 1 minute and 38 seconds. Sure, I'll take it. So I'm actually guessing that this is vastly superior. Okay, so this is a vastly superior sound file. So than the previous one. It sounds similar, but this one is a wave format, which means that it's uncompressed. That's a good thing. That means that it has all of the maximum sound quality that it can possibly have. It's also got a bit depth of 24-bit, which is pretty high. And the sample rate, which is another kind of important, numerical figure that if it's offered, you should aim for a sample rate of probably about, 32,000 or higher, is considered a decent quality. And it's also in stereo. So that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and download this one. And gosh, what are some other sounds that I would like? Well, I know that there's a tiger in this video. So I do think it would be pretty awesome to like have some tiger roars in here somewhere. So I'll get a tiger sound going too. I'll just put tiger roar and see what happens. I'm probably gonna have to just, I don't know if they'll have something quite that specific. Oh, of course they do. Let's see. And it's a wave file. That's a good sign. So this one's in 16-bit. That's totally fine. I would say 16-bit or higher is what you're looking for. If you have something that's in 8-bit, it's going to sound like, a vintage Nintendo or something, which I guess, could also be interesting, but it's not going to be a high fidelity, full sound. Sample rate is good. It's a wave file. It's in stereo. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and download this one as well. And I think I'm going to go ahead and check out of the video for just a second, and I'm going to download a few more sounds. So when I come back, I'll have all my sounds downloaded in a folder. Okay, we're back. And since I was looking for some sound, I found a whole bunch. And if you remember from the last video, we made a project and we called our project Video. Although you could maybe call it something more specific, like 107 Video Project or Remix Video Project, something like that. Anyway, my folder is called Video, and inside of it I stuck a sound folder. And so I created the sound folder in here, and I have the following sounds. So I'm going to go ahead and just play them for you right now in the Finder. So we have a rowing boat. That's exciting. Many clocks ticking. All right. Applause. Thank you very much. No, stop now. Birds singing. Whoops. Surf. This is a personal favorite of mine. Good for any occasion. We have a steam engine. People at a party. If anyone's hearing a man coming down the stairs, that's actually real. So I think this is the music box that we downloaded. There it is. And we also have our tiger roar, very important. So one thing that I wanted to point out before we kind of jump back into Premiere is that all of these files have different file formats. We've got basically, like right now in our folder, we've got 1, 2, 3 different file formats, and these are all okay. The other file format that I would add to the list of okay file formats would be an AIFF. And so you'll see that we have the WAV file format that I was talking about before that's uncompressed. It's really great. You know, what's not really great about it is that because it's uncompressed, they can be really large. If you have a WAV from a 1-hour lecture or something, that would be kind of cumbersome. But the AIFF file format is exactly like the WAV. It was just designed for the Mac platform. So if you see AIFFs out there, which I'm sure you will if you're looking on the Freesound website, that is basically just a kind of like brother or sister to the WAV file. I do want to just kind of reiterate that WAVs and AIFFs are really the best files to use. You can also use MP3s, and you can use M4As. M4As are basically just a newer version of MP3. They're kind of a proprietary format invented by the Mac people. But, to be honest, with the equipment that you're using, if you're just using your own, sort of normal, bought for less than $100 headphones, you're probably not going to notice the difference between an MP3 and a WAV file. It's not until you start to get into professional production or, working with really expensive equipment that you can definitely hear the difference. And so that being said, let's jump back into Premiere. I'm gonna cut the video for just 1 second and see if I can jiggle a setting. Okay, so I am fully jiggled, and this now at this point I'm going to go ahead and put the sounds in our project browser. So I'm going to go to File, Import, and I'm just going to grab the whole, I can just click on the whole folder and it'll bring all of them in at once. Occasionally, rarely, Premiere Pro may find some sound files that it doesn't like, in which case I don't really have a solution for you. I would just say to find a different file. I've seen it happen mostly with MP3 files, but it's, as I said, it's rare. So I wouldn't worry about it or stress out about it. So I have all this going on here. And as I said before, it really already has some sound in it. So it looks like, if we zoom in on the timeline, it looks like what we have here is we have sound that came in with the video of blowing up the Sept of Baelor. And you'll notice that if I select the sound, it also selects the video. So you may see in multiple clips, there are sort of these silent tracks imported with other tracks. And right at this moment, I'm just making my video tracks a little bit smaller so that I can kind of scroll up through them. I'm not going to be editing them really anymore. We're kind of done with that. So I'm hoping to kind of get all my tracks on screen so we can see this. So you can see this track, which appears to be silent. And if we click over here, you can verify that. It's definitely silent. This track is attached to the NASA footage that I imported, and is kind of this like Earth with the satellite spinning around. So if I want to get rid of this silent track, which I indeed do, it's totally useless, it's not doing anything, I have to right click either the video track or the audio track, and go ahead and click unlink. And once it's unlinked, I can just delete it. Now this sound that came in with the blowing up of the Sept of Baelor, it's hard to resist a really good explosion noise. So I think I'm going to probably keep it around. One thing I might like to do also is actually take these sort of shorter explosion sounds, use the Shift key, and you can see now actually that they're all linked. So I'm hoping that I can just grab the Shift key and then right click these and unlink these. I'm not going to delete them in this case. I just want to take these fast ones. So I'll show you right here where it does this. I kind of want to capture that sound and just cut and paste it. And so I, in fact, would like to cut and paste it probably back here somewhere. Let's see, where would be a good place? Maybe I will butt them up against here so that when it shifts, there's actually like a little cut in the scene at this point. In the WAP video, it kind of clicks over here. At that moment, you know, it would be like a punctuation point before something happens. So I just wanted to throw that in there so it kind of occurs more than once in the scene. And now, one thing that I don't have, I've got these sort of explosions. I don't really have a sort of atmospheric layer. And it kind of seems like maybe, I think I'm going to go for looking at the time of the tracks to make sure they're long enough. I think I'm going to go for the surf track, because it's about 1 minute, which is just the right length. I think I'm going to start it in here. And so this track already has what's called a lead-in, meaning that it's, starts off low and then it comes up. As we zoom in on this, I want you to note just one other thing, and that is that you may notice that our audio files, let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Dun, 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 dun. Our audio files have 2 tracks, and so what you're looking at here is the difference between the stereo, the left, and the stereo right. And in many tracks, it's not very different, but you can see here, particularly on this part, there are some clear differences. And so it kind of depends on what it is, it's something people can take advantage of, but many times there's not a lot of difference. I mean, for example, if you had a microphone that was right in front of me, and I was talking, and the microphone was recording on 2 channels, there wouldn't be very much difference between the left channel and the right channel. But if the 2 microphones were spread out in the room, and, I started running around in circles, there'd be a huge amount of difference. So it really depends upon the recording device and the sort of environment in which it was recorded, how much difference you're going to get between each stereo channel. So as we come into the this part, you'll notice that this track has a nice lead-in, so it's quiet and then it kind of goes up. You may also notice here that because we cut this, it's very abrupt. So I'm sort of at my maximum zoom right now. I can't zoom in anymore. So one thing that I would consider just kind of like good form, if I play it, you'll see quickly what happens here. It's going to just kind of cut off. I don't know if anyone heard that little pop. It's very subtle. But anyway, it's probably a good idea to take your pen tool, and even if it's only, like a half a second or even less, just smooth off the edge there. It's gonna sound a little bit less harsh. And you can certainly go further than that. I'm not going to do that in this demo to the rest of these, just because I don't have the time. So now we have this sort of surf thing going. So I think probably what would be a good idea is to listen to these. Crazy. I'll tell you that much. So I think that probably the explosion sounds are they're really strong, they have a really strong presence right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pen tool and I'm just going to dial this explosion sound down. So I'm going to make it ramp down pretty much the whole time this slower explosion is playing. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, except I'm going to ramp it up. I think that will just give a little bit more of a transition between the sort of surf sound and the explosion sound. So let's just kind of figure out what that's like for a second. So now we had a nice transition into Explosion Town, and it wasn't like, you know, like, oh my god, explosions. So I'm pretty, like, honestly, pretty satisfied with the volume level right now of the surf. I want to take the third audio track and sort of add the sort of music box, and I'd also like to add some sort of tiger roar stuff. So unfortunately, my screen resolution has to be a little lower so I can make these videos. I'm pretty sure this is the music box. I think I'm going to start with the music box and the explosions. If I start with the music box and the explosions, I'm going to keep the music box at full volume, and I'm going to take the explosions and I'm just going to create like a ramp that goes straight up. And in fact, I may create a second point here just so it ramps up a little bit more slowly. So let's start at the beginning. Okay, so that was awesome, except I have one issue with that. I feel like this sound, just that cutoff, is just so abrupt. I actually think what I want to have happen is after the video clip for the Sept of Baelor ends, I think I actually want the sound to go out a little bit further. So in order to do that, I can use my Ripple Edit tool. And basically just add, you know, some of the file back in. I'm going to want to move this pen point that I stuck in there, and maybe just move it down that way. So let's just look and see what that does real quickly. Yeah, I want that boom. Okay. Much nicer transition. I think actually right there would be a great place for the tiger roar, where he's like, yeah, look in my lips. So I'm just going to kind of mark it casually with the playhead. And so now you may be asking yourself, where are you going to put the tiger roar? Well, I could stick it here on track 1. There's some empty space. So that's probably the best idea. Just to demonstrate, we could certainly add a 4th track if we want to. So to do that, we would go to Sequence up at the top, and then Add Tracks. And we're going to make 1 audio track, but we're not going to make any video tracks, so I'm going to set that to 0. So click OK, and then voila, there's my extra track. The nice thing about not like mixing up different types of sound, you know, on one track is that if you want to turn off the tiger sounds and have the explosion sounds still on, by muting the track, you can just click this little M right here. If you have an extra track, it's really easy to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find that tiger sound. Here it is. And I think I'm going to start it right about where the playhead is. So it's super tiny. It's a really small track, but it does have a lead in and a lead out, so that's good. Let's go ahead and kind of preview it. Cool. Super fun. Okay, so it definitely, I think maybe just 1 or 2 tiger roars is going to be enough. Let's go over to this side of the bomb stuff. No more tigers. right here. I would also put one just kind of randomly. But that's basically how you would kind of sync it up, is by just, you know, aggressively moving not maybe aggressively, but, you know, consciously moving the playhead around to that exact spot where you want that little sound to be. There you go. So now there's one other thing that we're going to have to do, and that is that it looks like the sound continues after you know, our video is really done. And so I think that this is basically the end of the video. So what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in on the playhead, and I can probably just go ahead and make a cut. I'm going to make the playhead exactly butt up against the video. And at this point, I could probably go ahead and make a cut. I think I am going to give myself like an extra couple of seconds. So I'm just going to move out a tiny bit. And I'm going to do that because I would like to have, you know, just a second, or maybe, you know, not very much time, but a little bit of time to have just a black screen and the music sort of fading out. So I made my cut slightly beyond the edge of the sort of video. We'll go back to the selection tool, get rid of that. And then the part that I left, I will want to go ahead and just get this down a little bit so I can play with the pen tool. And I'm just going to make a ramp that goes from the end of the video to, you know, 0. And that's great. Okay, that's too far zoomed out. So at this point we have kind of a finished video. There may be more that you would like to do with the video, and that's kind of understandable. So one thing we haven't talked about kind of before we wrap up is we haven't talked. Okay, so I moved myself because we're going to talk about titles. Now, to make titles, a title is basically just, you know, any kind of text or any sort of like, you know, overlay effect that goes on your video. So first of all, we're going to bring it back. In our timeline, we're going to kind of bring back the video side of things. And I think that it would be a really great time for us right now to make an extra track, because in order to make titles, you have to place them on the timeline just like video. So right now we don't really have any space for them. So I'm going to go up to the sequence menu, and I'm going to add a track, and I'm just going to add a video track. I don't need an audio track, so one video track. Okay, so there's my little extra video track. I'm going to use that for the titles. So if I go up here, we haven't really used this menu much. That's because it's pretty much brand new in this version of Premiere. We're going to use the graphics tab. And when we use the graphics tab, I'm going to scoot over here actually, you can see that you can browse from like really common types of titles. And I would probably recommend that you go ahead and do this, because a lot of the sort of composition and setup is done for you. You can still change a lot of things about it. So for example, this is a great caption for when you're like all done with the video and you want to have a little bit, something that looks like an end credit. Let me real quickly. So I would like to just take this and drag it onto the timeline. And then you can double click it. And now you may notice, oh, I can't see it on the screen. It's because the playhead is not over it. So when the playhead's over it, you can then kind of get in there and you can, you know, edit what you need to edit. So there are two ways to really work with this. You can say, and then this will be my my title. Ooh, that's deep. As my title, oh, my disk is almost full. Wonderful. All right. Gonna close that for now. I might have to attend to that. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. Wow. Well, it's always the downloads folder. What can I say? So now that we have this title, let's just kind of preview how it's going to look. I'm going to turn the volume down just a tiny bit because that's not as important right now. Sweet. So I think that titles are a great place to kind of put things, you know, the title should probably go at the end. And I guess that's, you know, just, you know, sort of convention in video art. The main reason I think people do that is because they don't want to have the title kind of overly direct people's interpretation of the video. But you can also put the title in the beginning if you really need to. It's just a kind of a preference thing. Now that we have this title, you may notice that it, you know, sort of starts kind of just right when the video ends. We certainly don't, it doesn't have to be that way. We can use the Ripple Edit tool, which, by the way, now that we're in the graphics kind of mode, you can notice that our toolbar right here is gone. If you just hover over the edges of the side of any clip, the Ripple Edit tool will appear anyway. So we can actually kind of like push into the video just a little bit if we want to. And the title's automatically going to read as transparent. So just FYI. Oh, and by the way, you may be wondering, well, how can it be transparent? Oh, remember in Photoshop when we made those things called alpha channels? Hint, hint. So for any people looking for advanced uses, you can certainly put, you know, Photoshop images into Premiere. You could put any image that you make in Photoshop and use it as a title. It's not going to have the cool animation, but, you know, that's all right. So let's browse for another title for the beginning. And, you know, just in general, you know, unless you're making a video like about sports, I probably wouldn't use this one. You know, the sort of convention in art is to keep the titles pretty minimal. But, you know, we can certainly look for some titles that might be a little bit, oh, this looks very like Star Wars episode, you know, not the good ones. Let's see, what else? How about classic title? Nope. Okay, well, let's use the stars and bars here. So this is just, you know, to kind of, again, just kind of demonstrate what titles look like. You know, as I said before, if you don't like these titles or you can't find one that you like, you know, all you have to do is make a Photoshop image that is the size of your video, which in this case is 1280 by 720. And then you just import it. I do that every day when I make our class videos. Those are just JPEG files. So here, this is kind of a funny title. It's very retro. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of put this one in here. And, you know, just to demonstrate that titles are really pretty much just like everything else. If I go ahead and make this layer a little larger, of course you have the option of ramping this as well. So you can kind of ramp into your video if you wish. Okay, so that's just a tiny bit on titles. I'm going to switch back into editing mode, and so to do that, I'm going to go over here. And now that we're sort of pretty much like done with our video, if I were you and not me trying to kind of like keep the time condensed, I would certainly watch it before you export it. That's definitely like kind of a golden rule. I'm not going to make you all watch this video yet again. So I only have so much appetite for torture. So that was a joke. But I'm going to go ahead and now show you how to export the video. So we've got our video done. One thing I would do, in addition to watching it, is I would also zoom out on the timeline and make sure that there's not any extra clips kind of hanging around back here. Those can make for an extremely long video that is filled with a black screen and then some clips at the end. So unless that's what you're looking for, I would kind of just keep an eye out for that. Got our playhead. Okay, I'm just gonna scrub through it really quickly. All kinds of abstract weirdness, explosions, women. Yes, okay, all the stuff. Now, we are going to go ahead and export it. So to do that, I will go up to the File menu, and I'm going to go to Export Media. All right, let's do it. Oh, by the way, pro tip. I'm gonna cancel out of here real quick. By the way, you may notice that if I were to right now click on Export Media, I cannot do it. This vexes many students, and I feel bad for them. So I will give you the solution right now to tell you how to make that not do that. You have to actually click on the timeline, and that basically selects the sequence. So you can see here the sequence is called, remember the sequence here from the last video? Cersei Lannister blows up the Sept of Baelor. That is the name of our sequence, and you have to have it clicked in order to use the export media function. So I did want to point that out. Okay, so there are some really simple ways to kind of get what you want out of here. This can be extremely complicated, but it does not need to be. The first thing that I would do is I would check and make sure that you have the H.264 codec enabled. By selecting this codec, you are going to solve a lot of problems that may occur if you choose other codecs. Codec is just a fancy kind of technical jargon for compression decompression. In other words, it's the kind of scheme or algorithm along which the video is compressed. And so H.264 is a very common kind of contemporary compression scheme for streaming video. And we are going to be putting it up on YouTube. So I would basically, if you're working with the clips that we provided you, I would basically match everything that is on this screen. If you just want to hit pause, all of these settings are your basic settings. So here, things that I'm going to just kind of make clear to you, where it says output name, I would recommend clicking that. And you can see right now it's tracking into kind of going to save the file into final videos. Well, that's because I usually use Premiere to make the class videos. So in this case, I think I want to save it into my video folder. And I guess I don't mind it being called Cersei Lannister Blows Up the Sept of Baelor. That's fine. Under file format, guess what? You don't have a choice. Under the H.264 codec that we selected, the only file format that you can use is MP4, which is pretty much what we're looking for. If for some reason you have trouble using the H.264 codec, you may, oh yeah, good point. So I have to give it another name. I'll call it A Cersei Lannister. if you can't use it for some reason, maybe your computer does not have the H.264 codec, just email me or the TAs and we'll give you another recommendation. You can use other codecs. There's nothing really wrong with them, but you might have to do some extra kind of, settings working to get them to be exactly what we want. So in this case, one thing that you want to make sure, well, it says down here that your source, which, is your source video, is 1280 by 720, and it's 23 frames a second. Well, this is all stuff that we agreed on when we did the sequence settings, just, in the previous video. So what we want in this case is we want the output to match the source. So our output also is 1280 by 720. It's 23 frames a second, and blah, blah, blah. That stuff is all great. Okay? The other really important thing that I would check out here is the basic, where it says basic video settings under the video tab here, is that it says 1280 by 720. That's really important. Okay, there's one more important thing. One more. And that is this bar down here. This bar basically shows you the end and the beginning of your video. So we can see here, wow, that's the end, that's the beginning of our video. Darn right. Okay, that's great. Everything in the middle is great. I'm going to check and see that the end of my video is intact and as expected. I'm also going to take a minute to check and see that the length of my video is as expected. 1 minute and 27 seconds. I'm in a little long, but I think we'll live. So now you can do one of two things. You can either export it or you can queue it. If you have the Adobe Media Encoder installed, you can queue it. Now, the nice thing about queuing the video is that when you queue it, you can actually hit pause and you can close your computer, you can stick it in your backpack, and you can go on with your life. And then when you have time to not use your computer for a few minutes, you can open it back up, press play, and it will keep writing the file. For this file in particular, this is a really pretty short video, so it's not gonna like freak out your computer to write a 1-minute video. I usually queue my videos when I'm making class videos because they're really long and they take forever to export. A video like this, not so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hit export, and it's just gonna save it like a regular old file. And you can see it's like, wow, 1 second. But don't be fooled. Video rendering, which is what's happening right now, oh my goodness, it can take forever. Forever. So long. So long. So long. This isn't bad at all. It's when the status bar stops moving, that's when I start to get a little anxious and nervous. And there it is, it's all saved. So at this point, I'm gonna just go ahead and go into my folder and kind of check it out and verify it. Let's see, where did it go? Here it is, as promised. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? Well, in this case, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go to the kind of column view to see if I can get some extra kind of just details about it. So here it is. It's called Cersei Lannister Blows Up the Sept of Baelor. Actually, that's the original track. Interesting. Maybe I put it somewhere else. Uh-oh. So that's the track. Darn! I did put it in Final Videos, after all. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. Okay, so here's Cersei Lannister Blows Up the Sept of Baelor, and we can tell from the title that it's definitely our video. It's 106 megabytes. No problem. That's easy. And if we just look really quickly, the dimensions are 1280 by 720, and it's HD. Good news. So, okay, I know where it is. Next part of kind of checking it out before I turn it in, I'm going to play it. That's definitely the video that was made. Whoops, sorry. Okay, I know it's superstitious, but I really would recommend watching the entire video at this point. You know, because sometimes things happen. I've seen people who have bad hard drives and they actually get like data corruption in the middle of their video because their hard drive is dying. Or, you know, maybe there's just something that you forgot to do. Wow. All right. So at this point, I think I want to show you one more thing, and that is uploading it to YouTube. Whoops. No. Ah. Okay, so let's upload it to YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and open up a new window. So you get to see my YouTube recommendations, which is awesome. Let's see. What else? So if you go to, if you have a Google account, you can you know, if you don't already have a YouTube account, you can get one through your Google account. If you go to your sort of profile, you can go to your channel, and then you would go to manage videos, and then it brings up this thing called YouTube Studio, which is basically like YouTube's sort of, you know, management tool. As you can see, I have, you know, at this point now quite a few YouTube videos. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a new video. So if you click this create button, you can upload a video, and I'm going to select that file. So let's see, it's not in downloads. Hang on just one second. I gotta get out of the way here. So it's in desktop. Nope, not that. Sorry. Great. So now at this point, I usually will go ahead and try to kind of get some things set up at this point. So you want to definitely click that it's not made for kids, unless it is, I guess, but probably not. You also, in this screen, there's not really anything important unless you're kind of like trying to market stuff on YouTube. And that's what a lot of these tools are geared towards, are users who are trying to kind of monetize their videos. Obviously, I'm not against that, but it's not really necessary for this class. You can take a really cool online class with Wheezy Waiter if you want to know how to monetize your YouTube videos. But what I would do at this point, before the video uploads and kind of finishes, I would make sure that you kind of set your parameters. And so if you don't want to make your video public, what I would recommend is that rather than making it private, which would have a sort of password and a little more, you know, protections, I would recommend you make it unlisted if you don't want your video to be public. If you do feel it necessary to make your video private, you can absolutely do that. Just make sure that you include the information that we need to access it, like the password and whatever else that you want to, you know, kind of put on it. When you turn it in, make sure you give us that information. So from there, even before you upload it, it goes, you know, gives you your link, so you can just turn that in and you're done. So you can go ahead and save it. And then it does take a little while to upload. So when it's done uploading, you'll be all ready to go. I'm going to be getting back to you with sort of a general lecture about video art. So until then, I will see you soon, and you'll see me soon.